The small town of Havenbrook nestles between rolling hills, its quaint streets lined with clapboard houses and flickering streetlights. It's the kind of place where secrets don't stay buried, they fester. The air hums with the distant buzz of crickets as dusk settles, painting the sky a bruised purple. At the heart of town sits Emily's Brew, a cozy cafe with a swinging sign that creaks in the breeze, its warm glow spilling onto the sidewalk. Inside, Emily wipes down the counter, her hands moving with practiced ease. She's in her late 30s, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, her hazel eyes carrying the weight of too many late shifts. The cafe is her lifeline built from scratch after years of saving, a testament to her grit. Customers adore her. She's the woman who remembers their orders, who asks about their kids. But tonight, her smile is a thin veneer over exhaustion. "Thanks, Emily. You're a lifesaver," says Tom, a grizzled regular, as he grabs his coffee. "Just doing my job," she replies, her voice warm but frayed. "Say hi to Martha for me." He nods and shuffles out, the bell above the door jingling. Emily glances at the clock, 8:47 p.m. Another long day keeping the lights on, the mortgage paid, and her husband, Jack, afloat since he lost his job 6 months ago. She locks up, the key scraping in the old lock, and heads home through the shadowed streets. The house is quiet when she steps inside, a modest 2-story with peeling paint and a sagging porch. "Jack?" she calls, her voice echoing faintly. No answer. She frowns, drops her bag, and checks her phone. A text from her sister Sarah glows on the screen. "Hey sis, can we talk tomorrow? Something important?" Emily's brow furrows. Sarah's been distant lately, odd for the sister who used to crash on her couch unannounced. "Wonder what that's about," she mutters, climbing the stairs. In the bedroom, Jack lies sprawled across the bed, his broad frame still, his breathing steady. Or so it seems. As Emily slips off her shoes, his phone buzzes on the nightstand, the screen lighting up. She hesitates. Jack's always been private with his phone, a quirk she's never questioned. But tonight, curiosity gnaws at her. She picks it up. A single message stares back, a heart emoji from S. Her pulse quickens. She glances at Jack, who stirs, his eyes cracking open. "Hey babe," he mumbles, voice thick with sleep. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just..." She holds up the phone, her throat tight. "Who's S?" Jack sits up, blinking too fast. "Oh, that's just Steve from work. He's always sending dumb emojis. You know how he is." "Steve?" Emily's voice sharpens. "I thought his name was Stephen." "Yeah, well, he goes by S sometimes." Jack waves it off, a little too quick. "Don't worry about it." She nods, but the explanation sticks like a splinter. Stephen whoever he is, doesn't strike her as the heart emoji type. She lies down, the mattress creaking under her, but sleep feels miles away. Morning breaks cold and grey. At the cafe, Emily pours coffee with mechanical precision, her mind replaying that heart. Sarah walks in at noon, her blonde hair swept back, her blue eyes darting nervously. She's 3 years younger than Emily, sharper edged, always the wilder one. "Hey, Em," Sarah says, sliding into a booth. "Got a minute?" "Sure." Emily wipes her hands on her apron, joining her. "What's up?" Sarah fidgets, twisting a napkin. I need to tell you something, but promise you won't get mad." Emily's stomach knots. "Sarah, you're scaring me. What is it?" "It's about Jack." Sarah's voice drops, barely a whisper. "I think he might be seeing someone else." The words hit like a sucker punch. Emily's breath catches, her hands clenching the table's edge. "What? Why would you say that?" "I saw him," Sarah says, eyes wide. "At the park, late last night. He was with someone, they were close." "Who?" Emily's voice trembles, a mix of dread and disbelief. "Who was it?" "I couldn't see clearly," Sarah admits, looking away, "but it looked like they were kissing." Emily's world tilts. She forces air into her lungs, grasping for reason. "Are you sure? Maybe it was a misunderstanding." "I don't know, Em, but I thought you should know." The rest of the day blurs. Emily moves through her shift like a ghost, her mind a storm of doubt. By evening, she's home, stirring pasta in a pot while Jack strolls in, all easy smiles and mussed dark hair. "Smells good," he says, grabbing a beer from the fridge. What's for dinner? Just pasta. She keeps her tone even, but her grip tightens on the spoon. Jack, can we talk? Sure. He leans against the counter, casual. What's on your mind? Sarah came by today. She turns, meeting his gaze. She said she saw you with someone at the park. Is there something you need to tell me? His face flickers panic, then a mask of calm. What? That's ridiculous. I was with Steve talking work stuff. Maybe she saw us and got it wrong. Work stuff, Emily repeats, slow and deliberate. At night, in the park. Yeah, we needed a quiet spot. He steps closer, voice softening. Look, Em, you know I love you. I'd never hurt you. She wants to believe him. God, she does. Okay, she says, forcing a smile. I trust you. He grins, turns to grab a plate. But as his back's to her, her smile crumbles. That splinter's dug deeper now, and no amount of sweet words can pull it out. Later, she sits alone in the living room, the house silent, save for the hum of the fridge. Jack's phone rests on the coffee table, its black screen a taunt. She reaches for it, fingers hovering. Her heart hammers fear, anger, need all colliding. She could unlock it, dig for the truth. Or she could let it go, cling to the life she's built. Her hand trembles, inches from the phone. Then she pulls back, breath ragged, eyes locked on that dark rectangle. Outside, the wind howls through Havenbrook, carrying whispers of secrets, yet to break. The house feels smaller tonight, the walls pressing in as Emily lies awake, staring at the ceiling. Jack's steady breathing beside her is a mockery of peace. Her mind replays the moment she almost checked his phone, her fingers hovering over the screen before she pulled back. She wanted to trust him still, wants to, but Sarah's words echo. I saw Jack with someone. The hesitation gnaws at her, a splinter she can't ignore. Morning comes too soon. Emily drags herself to the cafe in Havenbrook, the small town's familiar hum a weak comfort. She's distracted, spilling cream, burning toast. Her regulars notice Mrs. Jenkins, with her sharp eyes and sharper tongue, leans over the counter. Everything all right, dear? You seem a bit off today. Emily forces a smile. Just tired, Mrs. Jenkins. Long night. The older woman nods, but her gaze lingers. Well, don't let it get to you. You're stronger than you think. Strength feels distant as Emily nods and turns away. By noon, the cafe quiets, and she's wiping down tables when Sarah walks in, her face pale, her usual confidence frayed. Hey, Em, can we talk? Emily's stomach twists. Sure, what's up? Sarah slides into a booth, fingers tapping nervously. I think I made a mistake telling you about Jack. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Emily's eyes narrow. Why? What's changed? I just don't want to cause trouble if I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't what I thought. Sarah, you said you saw him with someone. That's not something you imagine. Sarah looks away, her voice small. It was dark. Maybe I misinterpreted. Emily leans forward, her tone low but fierce. Or maybe you're not telling me everything. Who was he with, Sarah? Do you know? Sarah's eyes widen, a flash of fear. No, I don't. I swear. But Emily sees the tremble in her sister's hands, the darting gaze. You're lying. Why are you protecting him? I'm not. I don't want to see you hurt. Too late for that, Emily snaps, standing abruptly. If you won't tell me, I'll find out myself. She storms out, leaving Sarah staring after her, guilt etched on her face. Back home, Emily paces the living room, her mind a battlefield. Jack's late nights, his evasiveness, they're piling up. She can't sit still. Her eyes land on his desk, the drawer she's avoided since yesterday. Maybe there's more. She hesitates, then yanks it open, rifling through papers, bills, receipts. Then her fingers brush a small, folded slip. She pulls it out, a receipt for dinner for two at a fancy restaurant in the next town, dated last Friday when Jack said he was at a work meeting. Wine, dessert, the works. Not a business dinner. Emily's hands shake as she stuffs it back, her breath uneven. She's about to close the drawer when the front door clicks open. Jack's home. Em, where are you? She slams the drawer shut, forcing calm. In here! Jack steps into the study, smiling too brightly. What are you doing? Just looking for some old bills. Nothing important. Oh, okay. He shrugs, loosening his tie. Hey, I was thinking maybe we should take a trip. Get away from all this stress. Emily's pulse spikes. A trip? Now? Yeah. Why not? We could use some time alone, just the two of us. She studies him, the receipt burning in her mind. Jack, I don't know if that's a good idea right now. He frowns, stepping closer. Why not? Don't you want to work on us? Of course I do, but… She wants to confront him, to shove the receipt in his face, but fear of his lies, of the truth holds her back. Let's talk about it later. I'm tired. All right, but think about it, okay? He leaves the room, and Emily sinks into the chair, the weight of her discovery pressing down. That night, sleep eludes her. Jack's suggestion of a trip feels like a dodge, a way to bury her doubts under a weekend of forced smiles. She stares at the ceiling, the house too quiet, until a murmur breaks the silence. Jack's voice, low and urgent, drifts from the living room. Emily slips out of bed, barefoot, and creeps to the doorway. He's on the phone, his back to her. I can't keep doing this, he whispers. It's too risky. Emily's starting to suspect something. Her breath catches. She edges closer, heart pounding. No, I haven't told her, but I think she knows. We need to be careful. Who is he talking to? Look, I'll figure something out. Just don't call me again tonight. He hangs up, running a hand through his hair. Emily retreats silently, her mind racing as Jack returns to the room. He slides into bed, oblivious, but she can't unhear his words. It's too risky. She knows. Jack? She whispers, testing him. He stirs. Yeah? Who were you talking to just now? He tenses, then relaxes with a chuckle. Just Steve from work. Late night crisis. Go back to sleep, Em. But his voice wavers, and when she meets his eyes in the dim light, there's a flicker of fear. She nods, turning away. But sleep is impossible now. Tomorrow, she'll find the truth one way or another. Emily drives back into Havenbrook under the cover of night. The town's quiet streets a stark contrast to the chaos in her mind. The image of Jack and Lisa together, his arms around her, their whispered promises sloops endlessly, each replay stoking the fire in her chest. Betrayal cuts deep, but it's the calculation in Jack's words that haunts her most. I'll handle her. She won't see it coming. He thinks she's a loose end to be tied up, a problem to be solved. She'll prove him wrong. Back home, the house feels foreign, every corner tainted by the lie she's been living. Jack isn't back yet, probably still with Lisa, plotting their escape. Emily pours herself a glass of wine, the sharp tang grounding her as she sits at the kitchen table. She can't cry anymore. The tears have dried into something harder, something colder. She needs a plan. Confronting Jack now would be satisfying, but impulsive. He'd deny it, spin more lies, and she'd lose the upper hand. No, she needs proof, something undeniable that she can use to dismantle his world as thoroughly as he's shattered hers. His phone is the key, but the changed passcode means she'll have to be smarter. She remembers the laptop on the dining table, still open from earlier. Jack's careless with it, always leaving it logged in. Emily sets down her glass and moves silently to the screen. His email inbox stares back at her, a treasure trove of potential secrets. She scrolls through, her heart pounding, until she finds a thread with Lisa in the subject line. The emails are careful, coded in vague terms. Looking forward to the move. Everything's set for next week, but one attachment catches her eye, a bank statement. She opens it and freezes. A transfer of $20,000 from their joint savings to an account she doesn't recognize, dated 3 days ago. Her cafe one she's poured her life in funds its renovations from that account. Jack's not just leaving her, he's stealing from her too. Rage simmers, but she keeps it in check. She forwards the email to herself, then deletes the sent message from his outbox. Evidence secured. Emily knows Jack's routine work lies, Lisa. Tomorrow, he'll head to the office, or so he'll claim. She decides to follow him again, this time with a clearer head. If he's moving money, there might be more meetings with lawyers, real estate agents, anything to solidify his exit plan. She needs to know the full scope of his betrayal before she strikes. She grabs her phone and texts Sarah, her sister. Can we meet tomorrow? Need to talk. Sarah's been distant lately. Her excuse is flimsy. Emily's not ready to accuse her of anything, but the suspicion lingers. Could she know about Jack and Lisa? For now, Sarah's a sounding board, someone to keep her grounded while she plots. Emily's not sure what handling her means, but she won't wait to find out. Jack thinks she's oblivious, a pawn in his game. She'll use that. She'll play the dutiful wife a little longer, cook dinner, smile, let him think he's winning while she builds her case. Maybe she'll even drop hints, subtle enough to rattle him, make him slip up. The cafe money gnaws at her. If she can trace that transfer, she might freeze the account, cut off his escape funds. She's no tech genius, but she knows a guy Mark, a regular at the cafe, quiet but sharp with numbers. He's mentioned fixing hacked accounts before. Tomorrow, she'll ask for his help, discreetly. The front door creaks open, and Emily snaps the laptop shut, sliding back to the kitchen table just as Jack walks in. He looks tired, his tie loosened, a faint whiff of perfume clinging to him, Lisa's no doubt. "Hey babe," he says, forcing a smile. "You're up late." "Couldn't sleep," she replies, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "How was Steve?" Good, just catching up." He grabs a beer from the fridge, oblivious to her stare. "I'm beat, heading to bed." "Night," she says, watching him shuffle off. The urge to scream at him is overwhelming, but she swallows it. Not yet. Alone again, Emily finishes her wine, her mind racing. Jack's not just leaving her, he's trying to take everything. Her money, her trust, her life, but she's not the fragile woman he thinks she is. She's a fighter, and she's only just begun. Emily parks her car a block away from Havenbrook Storage, her pulse racing as she watches Jack's truck pull into the gravel lot. The building ahead is a squat, grey structure with rows of rusted metal doors, each one a silent keeper of secrets. She's never seen Jack come here before, never even knew he had a unit. Her fingers grip the steering wheel as he steps out, glances around, and heads to Unit 17, unlocking it with a key from his pocket. He disappears inside, the door clanging shut behind him. Emily waits, her breath shallow, until he emerges 10 minutes later, empty-handed but visibly tense. He locks the unit, climbs back into his truck, and drives off, unaware she's watching. She exhales, her mind buzzing. What's he hiding? She slips out of her car, pulling her hoodie tight against the evening chill. The storage facility is quiet, almost too quiet, with only the crunch of gravel under her boots breaking the stillness. Unit 17 looms before her, its padlock glinting in the fading light. She doesn't have a key, but she's not leaving empty-handed. Emily scans the Ariano security cameras. No guards, just a small office at the entrance, likely empty this late. She recalls a trick her dad taught her years ago, picking a lock with a bobby pin. It's a gamble, but desperation drives her. She pulls a pin from her hair, bends it carefully, and kneels by the lock. Minutes drag on, her hands trembling as she works the pin into the keyhole. Just as frustration creeps in, the lock clicks open. She freezes, expecting an alarm, but the silence holds. She lifts the door slowly, wincing at the screech of metal, and steps inside. A single bulb flickers overhead, casting shadows across stacks of boxes and dusty furniture. Emily moves fast, her eyes searching for anything unusual. The first box she opens is full of papers receipts, nothing special. The second is more of the same, but then her fingers brush a leather-bound ledger. She pulls it out, flipping through pages of handwritten numbers. Dates, amounts, accounts she doesn't recognize. Her breath catches as she sees the totals thousands of dollars moved over the past year, some from their joint savings, others from the cafe's business account. The transfers are marked with initials LM, SJ, and others she can't place. LM Lisa Monroe? The thought twists her stomach. Then she spots deposits into an offshore account, amounts far beyond Jack's income. Emily's head spins. This isn't just an affair, it's theft, maybe something darker. She snaps photos of the ledger with her phone, her hands unsteady. As she closes it, a small key slips from the pages, clattering to the floor. She picks it up. It's too small for the unit's lock. Her gaze lands on a metal lockbox tucked behind some crates. She drags it out, surprised by its weight. The key fits perfectly, and the lock clicks open. Inside, she finds a stack of documents and a velvet pouch. She opens the pouch, first diamonds, cold and glittering in the dim light. Her stomach drops. These aren't hers, not from any family heirloom she knows. She sets them aside and pulls out the documents. The first is a lease agreement for an apartment in the city, signed by Jack and Lisa, dated for next month. The second is a one-way plane ticket to the Cayman Islands in Jack's name, booked for 2 weeks from now. The last is a divorce petition, already drafted, with her name on it. He's planning to leave her, take the money, and vanish. Fury blurs her vision. He's not just betraying her, he's plotting her ruin. But as she shoves the papers back, footsteps crunch on the gravel outside. Her heart slams against her ribs. She snaps the lockbox shut, pushes it back into place, and ducks behind a stack of boxes just as the door rattles. The door creaks open, and a figure steps inside. Emily peers through a gap in the boxes, holding her breath. It's not Jack, it's Sarah, her sister, looking nervous. Emily's confusion spikes. What's she doing here? Sarah moves to the back of the unit, kneeling by a duffel bag Emily hadn't noticed. She unzips it, pulls out a thick envelope, and tucks it into her coat. As she turns to leave, her eyes sweep the room, pausing where Emily hides. Their gazes lock for a heartbeat, and Emily's blood runs cold. But Sarah blinks, shakes her head, and hurries out, locking the door behind her. Emily waits. Her thoughts a whirlwind. Sarah has a key. She's involved how? Is she helping Jack, or is she tangled in something else? The envelope money? Papers? Something worse? Emily's trust in her sister falters, but she can't face her yet. She needs more. She slips out of the unit, relocking it with the bobby pin, and heads back to her car, her mind churning. Jack's betrayal is bigger than she imagined, and now Sarah's part of it. But she's not helpless. She has proof: the photos, the ledger, the lease. It's time to fight back. As she drives home, her phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "I know what you're doing. Stop before it's too late." Her grip tightens on the wheel. Who sent it? And what danger is waiting? Emily sits in her dimly lit kitchen, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and betrayal. Spread out before her on the scratched wooden table are the damning documents. Bank statements, a lease agreement for an apartment she didn't know existed, and a one-way plane ticket to the Cayman Islands with Jack's name on it. The divorce petition sits like a loaded gun among the papers, its ink still fresh from his deceitful hand. The clock ticks relentlessly, 2:17 a.m. each second, amplifying the silence of the house she once called home. Her hands tremble as she traces the numbers in the ledger, revealing Jack's plan. He's been siphoning money from their joint accounts and the cafe's business funds, funneling it into an offshore account. And then there's Sarah, her own sister, caught in the tangle of Jack's lies and her bed. Her phone feels heavy as she dials Mark, the tech-savvy regular who's nursed too many espressos at her cafe counter. "Mark, I need your help," she says, her voice a steel blade cutting through the storm raging inside her. "Can you trace some financial transactions for me?" "Emily, you sound off. What's going on?" Mark's voice crackles with concern. "Just meet me at the cafe tomorrow morning, please." He agrees, and Emily spends the sleepless night plotting. She needs to freeze that offshore account, gather hard evidence of Jack's theft and infidelity, and confront Sarah, her sister, her betrayer. The pieces are falling into place, but the edges are sharp enough to draw blood. The next morning, the cafe hums with its usual rhythm-clinking cups, the hiss of the espresso machine, but Emily's world is a private war zone. Mark slides into the booth across from her, his laptop already open, concern etched into his boyish face. "Emily, talk to me. What's happening?" She lays it out. Jack's affair with Sarah, the stolen money, the escape plan. "He's going to disappear, Mark. I need to stop him." Mark's fingers pause over the keys. "If he's moving money offshore, this is serious. He's not messing around." "I know," Emily says, her jaw tight. "That's why I'm not either." Mark dives into the bank system, his screen a blur of code and numbers. The air between them crackles with tension as customers chatter obliviously nearby. After 10 agonizing minutes, he looks up, a grim smile tugging at his lips. Done. The account's frozen. He can't touch a dime. Relief floods Emily, sharp and fleeting. "Thank you, Mark. I owe you." "Just be careful," he warns, shutting his laptop. "Jack's not going to take this lying down." She nods, already mapping her next move. Sarah. The drive to Sarah's apartment is a blur of red lights and pounding heartbeats. Emily's knuckles whiten on the steering wheel as she pulls up to the peeling stucco building. She doesn't knock, she bangs. Sarah opens the door, her eyes widening like a deer caught in headlights. "Emily, what are you?" "We need to talk," Emily snaps. shoving past her into the cluttered living room. The air smells of cheap lavender candles and guilt. I know about you and Jack. Sarah's face drains of color. Emily, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been screwing my husband? That you're helping him rob me blind? Tears spill down Sarah's cheeks. It wasn't like that. Jack said he loved me, that he was leaving you. I didn't know about the money, I swear. Emily's laugh is a jagged edge. You expect me to believe that? You had a key to the storage unit. You were taking cash from the duffel bag. No, Sarah's voice cracks. That was my money. Jack asked me to hold it for him. I didn't know what it was for. Emily's not sure if she buys it, but Sarah's trembling hands and red-rimmed eyes plant a seed of doubt. She refocuses. Where's Jack now? I don't know, Sarah says, shrinking into herself. He said he had business to handle. Before Emily can press further, her phone buzzes. A text from Jack. Meet me at the cafe. We need to talk. Her pulse spikes. This is it, the showdown she's been clawing toward. The cafe is a ghost town when Emily arrives, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the floor. Jack leans against the counter, his posture casual, but his eyes are cold steel. Emily, I know you've been snooping, he says, voice smooth as venom. You need to stop before you get hurt. Hurt? Emily's anger erupts hot and wild. You've already gutted me. I know everything, the affair, the money, the apartment, the ticket. You're done, Jack. His lips curl into a sneer. You think you can stop me? You're just a small-town girl with a coffee shop. I'm the one with the brains, the connections. She laughs, bitter and loud. You're not as smart as you think. I've frozen the offshore account. Your money's gone. Jack's face contorts with rage. You bitch! How did you… I have my ways, she cuts in, stepping closer. And I've got proof your theft, your infidelity. Sign over the cafe to me and leave town, or you're going to jail. His eyes widen, disbelief warring with fury. She thrusts the divorce petition at him, pen in hand. His fingers shake as he signs, the scratch of ink on paper a death knell to their marriage. You'll regret this, he snarls, shoving the papers back. I'll make sure of it. He storms out, the bell above the door jangling like a warning shot. Emily's chest heaves with victory and dread. She's won this round, but Jack's threat lingers like smoke. As she locks up, her phone buzzes again. An unknown number. You think you've won, but this is just the beginning. Watch your back. Her blood turns to ice. She scans the empty street, shadows stretching toward her like claws. Is it Jack? Someone else? The weight of her triumph buckles under the creeping fear. She's not Safinot yet. Emily sat in the dim light of her cafe, staring at her phone. The message from the unknown number glared back at her. You think you've won, but this is just the beginning. Watch your back. Her triumph over Jack freezing his offshore account and confronting his lies felt fragile now, overshadowed by a gnawing unease. His parting threat still rang in her ears. You'll regret this. I'll make sure of it. And now this. Someone was watching her, and Havenbrook's quiet streets suddenly felt suffocating, like the town itself was closing in. She tried tracing the number, but it was a dead end, probably a burner, untraceable. Sitting around waiting for the next move wasn't an option. Emily was done being a pawn. Jack had to have left something behind, some clue to who was pulling the strings. His office at home was the best place to start. Under the cover of dusk, she slipped into the house they once shared. The air in Jack's office was stale, heavy with the ghosts of their fractured marriage. She rummaged through his desk-old bills, business cards, nothing useful, until her fingers brushed a seam in the bottom drawer. A false panel. She pried it open, revealing a stash of papers, contracts, a map of Havenbrook with a warehouse circled in red, and an email printout. The contracts bore the name Raven Holdings, a shadowy outfit tied to whispers of illegal dealings. Jack's signature was on every page. The email was worse. Shipment arrives tonight, warehouse secure, no loose ends. It was dated for today. Emily's stomach dropped. Whatever Jack was tangled in, it wasn't just about her cafe or their money. It was happening now, and it was big. The warehouse was her next move. She couldn't let this slip through her fingers not when she was this close to the truth. The warehouse squatted on the edge of town, a rusted hulk swallowed by the lengthening shadows. Emily parked a block away, her heart hammering as she crept toward it, ducking behind a pile of crates. The air was thick with the tang of metal and gasoline. She barely had time to settle when a black SUV rolled up. Jack climbed out, his face drawn tight, followed by two men-hulking figures with cold, predatory stares. They vanished inside, their voices muffled. Emily edged to a grimy window and peeked through. Jack paced under flickering lights, phone pressed to his ear. "The money's clean. Just get the delivery done." One of the men pried open a crate labeled Raven Holdings, revealing bundles of cash and beneath them, the dull gleam of firearms. Guns. A lot of them. Her breath caught. Jack wasn't just a thief or a cheat. He was smuggling weapons. This was a criminal operation, and she'd stumbled right into its heart. She needed to get out, call the police, but as she turned, a hand clamped over her mouth, yanking her back. She thrashed, but the grip was unrelenting. "You shouldn't be here, Emily," a voice hissed. She twisted free and spun to face Sarah, her husband's mistress, staring back with wide, panicked eyes. "What are you doing here?" Emily demanded, her whisper sharp with fury. "Same as you trying to figure out what Jack's into," Sarah shot back, glancing nervously at the warehouse. "You're going to get us killed." "You helped him." Emily's voice trembled with betrayal. "You knew about this?" "Not this." Sarah's face crumpled. "He said it was just extra cash, some side deal. I didn't know about the guns until last week. I've been trying to get out ever since." Emily didn't know if she could trust her, but the warehouse door creaked open before she could decide. Jack stepped out, his gaze landing on them. His expression darkened. "Emily? Sarah? What the hell?" The two men flanked him, hands hovering near their waists. Jack stormed forward, his voice a low growl. "You couldn't leave it alone, could you?" Emily squared her shoulders, defiance masking her fear. "I know everything, Jack. The smuggling, the guns. It's over." He laughed, a bitter, jagged sound. "You think you can stop this? You're out of your depth." One of the men stepped closer, his hand on a holster. "Boss, they've seen too much." Jack hesitated, something flickering in his eyes regret, maybe before it vanished. "Take them inside. We'll handle it." Rough hands seized Emily and Sarah, dragging them toward the warehouse. Emily's mind raced for an escape, but the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them in the dim, cavernous space. Jack loomed over her, his face a war of emotions. "You should have stayed out of it, Emily. This didn't have to end like this." "End?" She forced her voice steady. "What? You're going to kill me now? Your wife?" He flinched, but his jaw tightened. "You left me no choice." Sarah whimpered beside her, but Emily's eyes darted to the crates. If she could knock one over, create chaos before she could move, the warehouse door flew open again. "Jack, what the hell is going on?" Mark stood there, the cafe's tech-savvy regular, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder, face pale with disbelief. Jack's eyes widened. "Mark, get out. This isn't your business." "It is now," Mark said, stepping forward. "Let them go, Jack. This isn't who you are." The men moved toward him, but Mark held up his phone. "I've called the cops. They're coming." Jack paled. "You're bluffing." Sirens pierced the night, growing louder. Jack's composure cracked. "You've ruined it all!" In the confusion, Emily drove her elbow into her captor's gut, breaking free. She grabbed Sarah. "Run!" They bolted with Mark, bursting into the cool night as police cars roared into the lot. Emily stumbled to a stop, gasping, "Mark, you saved us!" He nodded grimly. "I knew something was off. Couldn't let you face it alone." Sarah stood trembling, tears streaking her face. "Emily, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this." Emily didn't respond, her gaze fixed on Jack as the police cuffed him. His eyes met hers, cold and unyielding. He mouthed, "Not over." She shivered. The cops hauled him away, but her phone buzzed in her pocket. Another unknown number. The message read, "You think this ends with Jack? You have no idea what's coming." Her victory felt hollow. Jack was down, but something bigger loomed and it wasn't done with her yet.